Yeah, right. Yeah. It helps. It really does, I'm telling you, because the whole editing the sound shit's bullshit. It takes forever. It's a pain in the ass.
I know.
It's a learning curve, Dave, I'm telling you.
We should actually have you recording me learning.
Yeah, right. There we go.
Watch Dave the chimp.
Not help you to sit back like Jane Goodall. Like,
it's like I can't watch this anymore.
That's great. No, but I will help you for sure. Just got to make sure.
Hey, why don't you
throw any questions at me?
Why don't you get me on the path of logic? I'll figure it out. Gotta do
It's
something
exciting,
for my
too.
retirement.
Yeah. But, okay, so I want to talk about, healthcare. Just leading that a little bit earlier, but, because often you and I had this debate about, like, whether or not it's good to have, like, universal healthcare with the government involved. And, your opinions are, hell no, the government needs to get the fuck out of that shit. And, at least the government's current situation with Obamacare is that it's a mandated thing to have health insurance. And, being on the shitty recipient of that one, like, I'm getting taxed and getting a fee every year that I can't afford to pay, let alone my taxes just normally, which, the 1099, I'm screwed on that whole thing. And, like, that's a whole story.
You're in business for yourself. And
yeah, even though
you're one of those small businesses who got hurt by the previous administration. You had to pay for not having insurance. It's kind of an odd thing to even say that out loud, You're being fined for not having something you can't afford.
Exactly.
And I know many people that I work with that tell me that they have like a $5,000 deductible. So they have health insurance that they can never use. I mean, they don't have $5,000. I mean, that's to start with.
Yeah.
That's before it even starts working. And I mean, that's the bottom line. That's the plan that the government provided with Obamacare. I mean, you're basically paying through the nose no matter what. I don't think the government should be anywhere near healthcare.
Yeah, but like I fail to understand though how like the goal of Obamacare was to get everybody involved, which would help balance out the sick people who were being taken on by health insurance, because Obamacare essentially made it to where all health insurance providers had to accept people whether or not they would have previously declined them for being too sick or having a potential costing a lot. They were making business decisions and saying, you're kind of risky, so we're not going to insure you because we know you're going to cost a lot. Obamacare got rid of that, but then to balance out those sick people who were going to get insurance, then you have the young people who are being forced to get insurance as well. And people like myself who, I can't afford, $400 or $500 a month. And I guess that's kind of my point. My question is like, how did it get so high? Like, if it was $200 a month, that would be a struggle for sure, but it'd be a lot more manageable than a $500 one. So it almost incentivizes me not to get health insurance because what the fuck? I'm going to pay $500 a month or $400 a month and then break my leg and still have to pay $3,000 up front.
Exactly.
What's the fucking point of that?
If you would have just it's hard to believe, but you can actually save that amount of money that you would be giving to the government for nothing that you're going to get. Put it in a health savings account. And you have the money there that if you do break your leg, you go to the hospital and say, hey, I'll pay you cash. Believe me, the price is different if you go to the hospital and say to them, this is how much money I have. You take out a big wad of cash and say, this is all I have. Can you do, if you pay cash for a procedure, it's cheaper than if they go through the insurance company and they get to bloat the prices. And it's a bureaucratic game. This is how these people get rich. It really is. It's they're getting rich. They're doing it off the backs of other people.
But who's getting rich? Like
these are these elected people now. We're talking about elected officials, hospital administrators. Have you seen the salaries of these hospital administrators?
No,
millions of dollars. Some of them.
For
stock options. There's a lot.
So even for Florida hospital, they make it.
It's these people at the top, the upper echelons of all of these big businesses. They're making sure that they get paid. Mm-hmm. Even if they do a terrible job. You can actually do a horrible job as the CEO of a company.
And still make hundreds of thousands of dollars.
And you have they call it a golden parachute. You leave the company with millions of dollars. They should fine you for that. They shouldn't give you a promise of a great future. Well, there was a guy, and I'm not exactly sure who it was, but he was arguing about his own private plane when it came to his retirement from a giant corporation. That's kind of ridiculous,
They were going to give him a plane?
No, he said it was too dangerous, or he had to have his own private plane as part of his retirement. It was a point of contention. I looked it up.
But is that what's causing? So are these, because you're talking about health or hospital executives, and that's slightly separate from insurance companies, which are the
Not
people
that
who are.
much.
Well, they kind of go hand in hand. The more the hospital charges, the more the insurance companies have to, increase the prices on you so that they can maintain a business. But that doesn't necessarily explain why, like, the healthcare is so expensive now. Like, you would think before, like, Obamacare, you had people who opted to get healthcare, when they needed it. They'd buy health insurance, and, it was, what, $300, maybe $200, $300?
We've had healthcare, my wife and I together, for the past 23 years. We've always had it, every single month.
Okay, so, like...
And it's gone up a lot.
But I mean, 10 years ago, how much was healthcare before Obamacare passed?
It's weird. I used to smoke cigarettes, and after Obamacare passed, I quit smoking cigarettes many years ago, and my rates went up.
But what were
$180 more?
What were you spending like 10 years ago per month?
It was
healthcare?
about $400.
So
380, 400
for two people.
For two people, just the two.
And then now, how much do you roughly spend?
It's $520 a month.
So it's like $100 difference.
$100 difference.
So I mean, it's like, I guess that's not
But
really
everything else
that
has
big
gone
of
up
a
too.
difference.
The deductibles have gone up. The co-pays have gone up. There's
So that's
other
the
things that have
difference.
gone up with
Yeah,
it.
because
it's not just one thing. It's like a multitude of things that have gone up with that care.
And that's a huge problem I see constantly. Is like, it's one of the main reasons why I don't get health care. Because if I was saying, if I break my leg and I have health insurance, my deductible is still $5,000. Let's say,
Yeah.
like, what was the point of me spending $400 every single month? Okay, so if I get hit by a bus, you'll cover the last 80%, but I still got to come up with $10,000. Like, are you fucking kidding me?
You won't have to worry about it because you're in the hospital for so long. They're not able to squeeze you when you're unconscious in a coma.
Yeah, or they'll find a way to squeeze you for everything.
I bet as soon as you wake up, that guy will be there for the finance part of the hospital going, Mr. Ashby, it's a good thing you're awake.
So it almost feels like a con.
It is a con.
But I've always felt like this about car insurance because, like, here in Florida, it's, I don't know about every other state, but I know if you basically buy car insurance to cover the other person, essentially, right? That's why you have, like, personal injury protection and things like that.
You have personal injury protection on yourself, and then you also have comprehensive and collision. So, I mean, you're responsible for your own insurance, but it's a no-fault state here in Florida. So, let's say the other person doesn't have insurance, and this happened to me, actually. Somebody hit me when I was sitting at a turn. Right as I was about to take off, they hit me going about 55 miles an hour. Jesus. And just smashed my car to bits. It was amazing. I mean, knocked me out. And the person that hit me didn't have car insurance. So then my insurance company had to pay for my car. And it's weird because they were kind of investigating me, and I thought they were kind of on my side, but it turned out it was like they're not so much on your side, the insurance company.
Yeah, they're
looking to not pay you.
Yeah, exactly.
As much as possible. I kind of had to argue with them about it just to be able to get a measly amount of money for the vehicle I had. It was worth way more.
But
way more.
I fail to understand why it is, like, legally mandated for you to, if you're driving a car, you have to have insurance. It's almost like it's a business protected by, like, a government mafia. Like, if you want to drive a car, you gotta pay us your dues, and if you don't, we'll arrest you. Like, and that's kind of fucked because I don't understand the point. I would understand the point if, if you had insurance, it was specifically to cover only your shit, and that's how it should be across the board. Maybe is if I want to drive a car without insurance and I wreck my car, that's on me, and I have no personal protection. So if the person decides to sue me, well, get fucked. That's my fault.
Well, the personal protection is on yourself, though, and then you have bodily injury on other people. You know what I mean? But you have on yourself. So what you're explaining is like having the insurance, like personal injury protection for yourself and not your car. So if your car gets wrecked, hey, sorry, car's dead, but I'm still alive.
Yeah.
And you've got enough money to patch yourself up. You kind of already have to have that now.
But is it like? Is that like the bare minimum, like legally? Like
that's the bare minimum, and a lot of people do that. And what happens is they get in an accident and they hurt somebody, and then they're in big trouble, because they don't have any kind of insurance to pay for it. They get sued. Yeah. So, but if they didn't have the insurance in the first place, they don't have the money to pay for the settlement lawsuit they're going to lose in the settlement anyway. So it's kind of like beating a dead horse. So I mean, I can see the point how people want to have socialized medicine with the government all involved, but it should be more privatized to where they're competitive instead of mandating like the Soviet Union did. I mean, this is like we're talking about like Russia's got nothing on the Soviet Union. They did with a whole bunch of countries, and they just mandated everybody has a job. Bernie Sanders is talking about it now. Everybody has a job no matter what. The government gives them a job instead of doing like being forced to have a certain economy a certain way. That doesn't ever work. It has never worked. You let capitalism take control of your private healthcare sector to where people are competing for your business, just like a car dealership. I personally like certain kind of cars, and I'm going to go buy that kind of car because I like the maker, I have my own reasons, but at least there's a competition. I can go elsewhere. I mean, look at companies like Facebook. They don't have any competition. You go there, go home. There's nowhere to go.
Well, yeah, like
but
Twitter
at least with
and stuff like
healthcare,
that.
you should be able to have a choice, and not the choice mandated by the government who knows nothing about healthcare. They don't know about healthcare.
But can't you also just get your own private insurance right now? Like, you don't have to be a part of the whole Obamacare thing. It's only if
you
you
don't
don't.
private insurance.
Yeah.
And I don't know. You have to look it up online to see. But I pay $520 a month for my wife and I. To me, that's a hell of a lot of money considering if you use it, you still got to pay co-pays and still.
Yeah.
It's not.
No, that's a ridiculous amount. That's a car payment, a nice car payment.
It's a BMW payment.
Yeah,
right?
like you'd be cruising, looking fucking fly.
Don't get me wrong, Stephanie's got a nice car, but I'd have a nice car too. So and I've got to drive what I got.
I mean, your point that you often make with like the what is it the how do you word it? It's like a savings account essentially.
It's a health savings account. They used to have those actually. A long time ago, I worked at T-Mobile and they had that, and you would be able to put money, kind of like almost how your 401k deductions go. They go tax-free into a health savings account, and you use that money. It builds up over the year. And if you know that you're going to go see the doctor 2-3 times a year, then you can put all the money in there that's going to go to that, and it's tax-free. Especially you got to use it. And they, at one time, I guess when I was there, you had to use it in that year period, or else you lose it. So you can only put it in so much. Now they have different laws, I'm sure. I might be mistaken, so I'm not 100% sure. But to where that money, and the laws could be changed if the laws aren't this way already, to where you just have a health savings account, you put money into it, and it can be invested into whatever you want. Mutual funds, however you want to do it. I mean, not everybody's an investment specialist, but you can make it simple. You can make it, you want to be aggressive when you're young? Yeah, it's safe. You want to be a little more moderate when you get older, and you want to be real conservative as you get even older. That's the way the options you give people, and it's almost common sense which one you want to pick. And that is privately structured by a private company, not the government.
But couldn't you just do that anyways with a savings account?
Not when you have the government telling you have to buy Obamacare if you don't have a fine and all that stuff. You don't have the money to do it. We invest money. We invest, but I mean, we don't invest I wish I had that $520 a month to invest in my own private health care to where it built its own value, and when I die, I can pass that on to the next generation.
But
next generation people have a ton of money if I'm healthy and I just up and croak.
So would that replace health insurance in general? Like, would you, instead of having health insurance, you would just basically take that same amount of money and just put it into a savings account?
2 generations of people, if everybody, instead of paying,
but if no one got sick,
government, it's not everybody dies, okay?
Yeah, but you might spend more than
a lot of times though. There's money left over, and that money left over.
A lot of times, you think?
There's a lot of because they make everything super expensive now. If you weren't paying the prices you're paying now, if you literally paid cash prices when you go to the doctor instead of the bloated thing that it is now, it goes back to the people. People don't like this.
Yeah, I agree with getting rid of the mandate. As far as
I don't want the government telling me I have to have this, I gotta buy this. What if it was an iPhone? I don't like iPhones all that much. I mean, sorry, people. Sorry.
Yeah, this is an Android business.
Yeah, I mean, seriously, iPhones are nice, but I mean, they're expensive and they're a pain in the ass.
They are pretty nice.
Proprietary. I mean, they're not easy to use.
But did you?
I don't. What if I was forced by the government to buy that every single year? The brand new one, you got to have it no matter what. It's for your own safety. I don't need somebody telling me what I need for my own safety, for my own health care. I was paying for health care long before Barack Obama came around and told me I had to.
Yeah. I
still had to provide a form on my taxes that I never had to have before to prove that I had health insurance. I looked at that and I gave it to my accountant guy. And he goes, "Oh, I know you got that. Don't worry about it." I'm like, because he sees it comes out of the paycheck. He sees it come out.
Yeah.
And I'm like, it's embarrassing in a way. It's like, so I've had this thing, and now it is no imposition to me that he did that. Barack Obama went and enforced and imposed that on against the will of the people
Yeah.
to pay. You're going to pay no matter what. You don't have it. And
I
nobody
don't.
that I know that's your age has it either.
Well, I can't
Everybody's
afford it.
paying
It's fucking
fines.
expensive, dude.
Everybody's paying the fine.
I would, yeah. If I ended up paying every month, I'd probably be paying like what, a third, a half of what I make every month.
Yeah, you're
just
stupid.
health insurance.
It's not easy,
Dude, it'd be fucking ridiculous.
Yeah, it is ridiculous.
Yeah.
It's absolutely ridiculous. And if you take that money and invest that you were forced to pay, not even the same amount, a portion of that, only 25% of that into your own health savings account, diversified into, like I said, 3 simple ways. It's easy for people to become wealthy just through their health care account to pay their own way for medicine. And when you die, if there's
Again,
left
though,
over,
what's the
give it
difference
to the
between
next generation.
that and a savings account? Because if the government's not mandating,
You're making money on
But-
an actual account that earns.
but if the government's not mandating you to put it aside like they are with health insurance, then people aren't going to be putting aside $500
The
a
government
month.
doesn't have to mandate you do it. It can be a private thing to where the government mandates, in a way, makes a law saying this much of your pay goes into your health savings account.
It's like a tax.
It's not a tax because the government doesn't get the money. It goes
Okay.
into a private account that is an investment account that
But
you
it
can
is-
monitor. You can go and actually
Okay.
see.
Yeah.
You can go to Fidelity or wherever you're going to have a T. Rowe Price. There's all kinds of companies out there that can do this. And that would increase competition in the people that invest the money that is for your future health care. They'll treat it just like an investment account so that it's like a 401k. It's like a Roth IRA. When you put money into that, it grows. So approximately every 7 years, if you invest properly, it doubles. But our Medicare system now and our whole Obamacare system now is not based on that. It's based on a zero-sum game of where they just it's not working, and it's so expensive that the insurance companies are just raising prices, making it impossible. That this is the sign of what it is that's to come with socialized medicine, unified healthcare, whatever they want to call it. It's going to be to where they're going to be taking half of your check like they do in a lot of places in the European Union. And it's not, you're not really, it doesn't really cost that much. It doesn't cost half of your paycheck
But it
for
almost
your
sounds
health care
like-
for your life. It just doesn't.
Well, no, they definitely get more benefits than just healthcare for that. But that's a
But you
separate
don't get
conversation.
anything left though when you're done. There's nothing left. It just goes away. When you die, it's all gone. But if you were able to save up your money and you were healthy and one day you croaked, it happened to a couple of friends of mine that are way younger than me, and they would have a ton of money in there. They never went to the doctor or anything. They would have had a lot of money to give to their kid.
Yeah.
But now nothing
But
gets
then,
passed
so
down.
so would this be in lieu of a health insurance?
That would be your health insurance. You pay into your health savings account.
So what if
you
I-
use that to pay your?
But what if you're like 19 and you get sick or something like that, and you
19
only
you
paid?
get sick, then you know what? Then that's when the government program kicks in. That's like the Medicaid that we have now, the last resort instead of the first resort.
So
Medicaid is being abused by it being the first line of how people are treated.
Well, what if it's okay? So, but if we use that system, and then say the 19-year-old, like, what would be the criteria where the government would step in? Because the 19-year-old, is young, healthy, and able-bodied,
You have
but they get
exhausted
sick.
your money. That's when the government plan kicks in.
So then, what if you just never pay into it? Then that's basically universal
The government
healthcare
can tax
for broke
you.
people.
Not everybody's going to have to pay. That works. That's the way it works. Everybody's going to have to pay. If you
But
get,
what if you don't? Like, what if you're sick? You're 19, you never had a job, you're in school, and then you just get like cancer. And
How
then,
many people does that happen to?
I mean,
Almost
even if it only happened to
nobody.
one, what would be the government's
That's
situation?
that is the exception to the rule instead of it being the rule.
So what would be the criteria? Because if you say like,
the criteria is once you have exhausted your health savings plan, and if you're 19 and haven't had a job at McDonald's or something by now, you're a loser. There's something wrong with your
well,
parents.
yeah, you
know
should
what
have
I
a
mean?
job by like
Seriously.
18, yeah.
You should have some of this money already built up. But I mean, at least you're.
But it'd be like $50.
It'd be a lot more than that.
$200 maybe if you're working full
Yeah,
time.
I mean,
like, come on.
you would treat this like something that you want to grow as an investment. You don't want it to treat it like I'm saving it like a savings account. So the longer you don't hit it, the bigger it gets.
But the only
it
way
doesn't exist now. Now we're doing it by just giving the money to the government. It disappears into the ether, and then here's what they want to give us
Or
back.
private insurance. You can still buy private insurance.
You can buy private insurance, but
pay
it's
into a
still
company
expensive.
and then and that's the problem is like I think this is the reason why maybe that the prices have gone up for individual health insurance is because the government made this giant conglomerate, with however many, over 3 million people who are now, a single payer system essentially. Now the government gets to go to these health insurance providers and say, hey, we have 3 million people, you're going to take this price. And the hospitals just have to say, all right, I guess we're going to take it. Because they have so many people, it's worth it to them. But then a private insurance company has to compete with that. And they're like, well, shit, like we have to pay a little bit more because we don't have such a pool, If you have 3 million people in your health insurance, you could probably get a cheaper price with a hospital than if you only have, 500,000.
Well, since the unemployment rate is down to like 3.9%, I mean, it's amazingly low. That means a lot of people have jobs.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, sure, man. Hold on. Gotta go down to the wine cellar for a second.
Yeah, walking on down.
Hold on a second. Going down. Oh, here you go.
Oh.
Keep the label away. Don't want anybody seeing it.
No free advertising,
even though.
Alright.
You losers, man.
Maybe they'll sponsor us. I'm telling you. That'd be dope.
When we make furniture out of all the crushed cans.
I'm telling you, that would be dope. That would be a good idea. Maybe we should do it. Cheers. Oh, you have to get one. Oh.
I've still got a little. Uh-oh. Almost saw the label.
I do like that idea, though, of getting the clips. Just all the sip clips.
All the
shit hilarious.
We'll
call it the slip or the sip clip.
The sip clip. Yeah. Hold on a second. We got to take a break. Yeah, that's a good one for you.
We should get a bunch of recordings of like the popping. Just like
all you gotta do is get it 5 times. Just play it over and over again in different order.
Right. Dope.
So you gotta be serious.
Thanks for coming through.
Hey, I appreciate you inviting me. This is awesome.
Mm-hmm.
One day maybe I'll have my own show and you guys can be on my show.
No, yeah, for sure. No, we gotta get that together. I know you're going to 100%. Like, I can see it in your eyes. You're like just as ambitious as I am. When you're like, yes, we're gonna get this shit going.
People have to know. People start to have to know the truth though. Without the truth, I mean, I see so many lies on TV about healthcare, about global warming, about so many things. Like people are just making stuff up. It's mostly propaganda that you see on the news, and the healthcare thing is part of it. And they were able to, pass it. I don't know how they were able to do that, but I mean, we've learned our lesson from it. It's like this has to be back to the idea of having like group healthcare. Imagine if you were a group like the NRA or the National Teachers Association, you know what I mean, or the big giant groups of people. You go to get insurance from an insurance company.
Yeah.
Like, we've got 3.5 or 10.5 million people that all want to get insurance from your company.
You'd have a massive pull.
Those companies would be fighting like sumo wrestlers to try to get to your business. But the government doesn't look at it like that because
they kind of do. That's what Obamacare
is. They can take your money from your check. They can take it before you even get it. And I want that to go where I want it to go. I want to choose where that money goes. And it should be part of education. It should be part of something you learn in school. When you go to school, you have to learn how to make money.
Oh, well,
you
that's
have
actually
to learn how to be responsible.
Great transition too, because honestly, schools are like I went to public I had public education, and it didn't fail me. I learned a lot. I came out and I had a thirst for knowledge, and like I genuinely enjoyed it, and I came out, I think, pretty well rounded. I don't think that's solely because of my education, but it's just there are so many things that are missing from what we would consider education. Like we put such an emphasis on, the mitochondria is the powerhouse of a cell. Like, why the fuck do I need to know that when I don't know how to do my own taxes? And if I come out of school and if the purpose of an education is to mold young people to be productive people in society afterwards, then you need to give them the right tools and skills necessary to thrive. And if you're coming out of high school and you're just all they're doing is funneling kids into college, and it's because they're not doing their jobs right. That they're just like, oh, learn life skills in college, and then kids go to college and they don't know anything about the world. And
life skills, a keg party.
Yeah, and it's then you come out and you've just been fed one point of view, and it's we'll come back to that, but they need to teach people how to sew, and they used to do that back in the day.
Don't point at me when you say that, fucker. Excuse the language.
Back in the day.
Back in the day, though, there was like Edgewater High School when I went there. I went to public education
Shop,
for
mechanics.
last year and a half. There was a ceramics shop. I took ceramics class.
Oh, we had ceramics too.
Yeah, but I mean, it was like they had the kiln and everything. Now it's like, fire on the school.
Oh, yeah,
crazy?
no, we have a kiln there too. They still have that, but there was so many practical skills that
there
we
was
don't
an
know.
auto mechanic shop
Exactly.
there. People used to bring their cars there to get their brakes done, the coaches and stuff. I was like, this is unreal. It's like they got a gig going on back over here, teaching people how to become auto mechanics. Shop where they made stuff with saws that had blades on them and everything like that.
And those are real life skills. Like
no accidents.
Like when I look for different jobs and stuff, though, there are fine paying jobs. I was looking the other day. There's a company near the university. They're building some shit, and they're paying carpenters like $28 an hour.
Oh,
you could come out of high school if you took 4 years of shop or 4 years of like woodworking or something like that. You would know how to do 90% of that framing and shit like that. You would know how to do it. So you would be 18 years old making $28 an hour.
Imagine if you went to air conditioning school.
Exactly.
And you live in Florida, man. So do I. It's like so hot here.
Money.
As soon as it gets hot, your air conditioner gets fucked up. It doesn't work anymore. So when your air conditioner dies, you expect it to be fixed
ASAP.
Yesterday.
Yeah.
And they get out, actually, the guy that I called, he came out at 7:30, 8 o'clock at night, and he still had 3 or 4 calls after me. And he had been to like 13 or 14 before me.
Jesus.
That's
money.
He charges like $180 to $200 just to come out and do the rinky-dink thing he did, and it wasn't much. It was like changing a capacitor and something else. It was real simple, and it was outside. He never even had to come inside the house, and they were done in 20 minutes. And they charged them $180 something because I asked the landlord, and I'm like, man, they're going and doing that many stuff. Those guys are multi-millionaires by now, because this guy wasn't some spring chicken.
Yeah.
He was way older than me. I'm thinking, man. And he says, man, he goes, I work my ass off because I've been at it since like 6 o'clock in the morning. And this was around 8 o'clock at night.
And see, I think that as a major, it's disincentivizing kids to go that direction, because people talk about it's hard work, and we tell kids, go to college. My dad used to tell me the same thing. He would look, when I was way younger, obviously, but he would show me his hands and be like, this is why you go to college. And we teach our kids, like, you want to go get a job where you use your brain and it's not hard work and you make good money and stuff. But everyone's going that route, and now no one's taking the somewhat hard job, and those jobs are paying a tremendous amount of money. Auto mechanics make a shit ton, air conditioning, woodworking, there's all this stuff. And even if they didn't learn it necessarily in high school, there's a lot of skills that need to be taught there, like taxes and shit. But we've gotten to the point where we've almost made, like, stigmatized like trade schools and trade skills. Like, you look at a plumber and you think they're like a blue collar worker, so they must be lesser than the guy who's wearing a suit every day. But guess what? The guy wearing a suit every day is making $15 an hour, and the plumber just brought home $1,000 after 2 to 3 days. Yeah, exactly.
Some of these people make thousands and thousands of dollars a day, and if you don't, then you're not doing it right.
And that's where the demand's at right now. Is everywhere I look.
It has been there, but now, since there's a lot more people thinking, wow, I'm going to go be a philosopher, or whatever the hell they think they're going to do with their worthless degree that doesn't make them a job more than $15 an hour, that they spend $100,000 on this degree that's going to take them forever and ever to pay back.
Yeah.
They could have gone to a trade school that was cheapo depot and become a forklift operator, crane operator. I mean, those guys make awesome money.
Yeah.
Especially in some of these bigger construction fields. I know it's hard work, but hell, with the air conditioner guy, my dad was an air conditioning person, and he didn't make a whole lot of money doing it because he never went out on his own and did it. He worked for Sears, and he stayed there forever.
There you go. Yeah, you get comfortable.
Yeah, you get comfortable. You get complacent. You get lazy. And I'm telling you, that's what kills people.
That's actually one of my biggest fears. Is like,
if you quit working, you start dying, and it's complacency that's what does it.
It's not just that, but like, I feel like people end up getting comfortable because they build a standard of living and they can't revert backwards. So then they get stuck in places where they don't want to be, and then they sacrifice their dreams and ambitions because of the practical needs. And that makes sense. Sometimes you have a kid or you have student loan money and you have to be paying these things, so it creates a pressure on you. But then you become bogged down and you never actually get to spread your wings as an individual and do what you wanted, because now you're focusing on paying this or that bill rather than focusing on developing yourself.
And that's why we're doing this.
Yeah, pretty much.
That's why we're doing this. I'm glad you just explained the essence of both of our ideas, because
Yeah.
I think that this is a really a good thing that people find out the truth. The truth is everything, and we're only being told part of it in all the media. And I think that when the truth starts actually coming out, because you can only hide things for so long, I think it might be a fundamental shift in our country. And if we start talking about it now, we could be on the top leading edge of this stuff. I mean, because it's going to happen. There's going to be a swing in the pendulum, and I believe.
Well, you're starting to believe in politics now, huh?
Yeah.
Yeah.
But I mean,
I feel
in the future, it's going to be different. Things are going to be different. People aren't going to be, trying to go get these, what I consider to be non-existent jobs in the future. They're going to actually change the school system to where they go back to the way of teaching people actually how to make it in society, because a lot of people are going to be in for a big letdown. A lot of people.
Yeah, unfortunately, and the fucked up part is just like they're not being let down at 18 when they get out of high school and then they become like a burnout or something. They're educated people with a shit ton of debt, and they need a fucking job, and they don't have a job, and there's no job opportunities out there. And unfortunately, when I sit back and I consider what kind of trade skills I could have earned in the same amount of time that I've been at university, I could have gone to 2 different trade schools for 2 years, and gotten 2 different career paths. I could have blended them. I could have done woodwork and plumbing, and then just be a badass on the construction site and make probably $40 an hour.
Or video production would have been nice, so you don't have to spend sleepless nights on the internet learning how to do all this stuff.
God, dude,
remember the warning. Anybody thinking about doing this, you better think about it first real hard.
Could put some serious consideration into it.
Save up.
Save up. Buy good equipment first.
Yeah, don't buy anything you don't think is the best thing you can afford.
Countless runs back and forth to Walmart and shit.
This
is a shitty tripod. That's a shitty tripod. Fuck me, man.
Well, Amazon isn't what it always says it is.
Oh yeah, that was funny. You want to tell that story real quick? I'm sure you guys will love it.
I ordered a nice camera setup. A microphone setup with the boom arm, the whole 9 yards, and they sent me a cable.
No, but that's something. It was like $7, and he sent it to me, and I was just like, "Oh my god, there's no way somebody could get scrap metal alone. It must have been cheaper."
Too good to be true, and it was.
They
sent me a cable,
XLR cable,
but they let me return it. Yeah, that was nice. I mean, I guess I wanted to spend a couple hours doing that.
Yeah, learning experience.
Yeah, don't believe what you see on the internet.
But going back to our point a minute ago, with complacency, I feel like not only is it you're just, I don't know. It's just, it happens to everybody I see around me. And, I understand why, because money is a bitch, but, you're underselling yourself ultimately. And there's so many opportunities that, and different perspectives that everyone holds within them. My mom tells me this a lot. She says that you can have a conversation with anybody, and no matter how crazy or fucked up they might be, you'll still learn something.
Oh, yeah.
And that's kind of the essence of this podcast. Is just not to say you're fucked up or crazy. It's just to say
okay, I'll take that.
But it's about having a conversation, and that everyone has something to offer. And I feel like a lot of times people get stolen of the opportunity, and usually they steal it from themselves. They fuck up somehow, or they don't pursue their dreams.
The propaganda, though. I mean, if you're told so many times growing up your whole life that this is as good as it's going to get, you can only hope for a better life, with the government helping you. And,
most people don't get told that. They just get told
follow our education.
They just get told go to school and you'll get a good job and you'll do well. And if you don't go to school, you're going to be a bum on the street. That's the narrative.
Even if you go to school, though, that doesn't mean you're going to get a good job.
But they don't tell us that. And I think that's kind of I think I'm going to do a video on that too, about how is college a lie or not, because
it's high school that's lying.
Exactly. They funnel you in. They tell you have to go to school. You have to go to school. They gear all the discussions with your guidance counselor and things to what schools you're going to apply to, and this, that, and the other. And it almost becomes like a racket where you're seeing the public school education funneling students into these high expense universities, which are federally backed. So the universities are able to just squeeze students for $15 grand a year easy, and they just get so much money out of these kids. and then they just go into debt because they have access to the student loans, and it's easy. They just do a couple of forms, click a couple buttons, and then boom, the money goes to the university. So they're 18. They think, this is what I got to do. This is the cost.
But there's something you're not mentioning, though, is that in 2010, you don't have to look this up, you can take my word for it.
Yeah.
the federal government took over the student loan program. And since then, the student loan debt has grown to $1.3 trillion.
That's the next
which
bubble.
is more than all credit card debt.
Yeah.
So you're taking students, which is a tiny little fraction of the amount of people in the world that have credit cards, or in our country that have credit cards, and you add all the people, adults, and those same students that have credit cards, and it still doesn't equal that amount of money that they've racked up.
Yeah, and that makes sense. I mean, how much credit card debt?
The government took it over, and look what happened. It turned to shit.
Yeah.
It turned to shit. So what do you think is going to happen with the healthcare system?
Well,
the government takes it over, it's going to turn to shit. It'll be like the VA.
And that kind of goes to my a big point I often make is when the federal government, anytime the federal government provides you easy money where it's just sign here and you get a loan or federal grants, the schools are completely aware of that being an opportunity to you. So it would make, if you're a business and you have all these students coming in and you know for a fact that each one can have a minimum of 10 grand or 15 grand every year, they don't have to do anything, you're going to charge them 15 grand. Right. Why wouldn't you? You know they have it.
And the government gives you the money.
Yeah. So the kid doesn't care. The kid's like, oh yeah, I'll just sign it away because they're told all the time, like, this is what I have to do if I want to make it somewhere. And you're 18, you're feeble-minded, and you're like, okay, I'm going to go to school. I'm going to finish this up.
But you're convinced you're not feeble-minded in those years.
Yeah, and not everybody's feeble-minded. Just because you're young doesn't mean you're not wise. I mean,
being propagandized into that's what you do.
Yeah, you get
it's not for everybody.
Right in.
It's not for everybody.
It wasn't until it's all good. It wasn't until basically a year ago, like my senior year in college, where I was just like, yeah, I'm a fifth-year senior. It's not my fault. It's the university.
They call him Gramps.
Yeah, I feel old as shit too. Just walking around campus and 18-year-olds, and I'm like, oh god, I'm engaged. Like y'all are children. I got gray hairs. Like, what is this?
Welcome to the real world.
Yeah, but it just, as soon as the government started providing these massive amounts of free money, essentially, at least in the short term, to these students, you see the universities jacking up their tuition prices out of nowhere. And I'm not saying that there might be a direct correlation on statistics, but there is a correlation. It makes sense. Why wouldn't you as a business?
It's almost like a conspiracy between the government and the people that actually charge tuition.
Yeah, I wouldn't call it a conspiracy. But
well, it's kind of an unknown conspiracy. The government knows that if they give the money to the university is going to charge that amount of money. They don't have to, have a conspiracy to speak of, but they know that they've got the money available.
It's less insidious than that. It's more like the government's trying to provide opportunities for students, and they're like, okay, if you're poor, if you're rich, we don't care. We will give you the money so you can go to school if that's what you choose.
Yeah, but opportunity does not mean putting you in debt.
Well, it depends. Because sometimes if you're smart and you get an education and say being an engineer, and then you come out of school and then you go make $80,000 to $100,000 a year and you pay off your debt in 2 or 3 years, that's a good investment. But what's happening is people are getting degrees in women's studies or philosophy, and it's like, where are you going to go? There might be a very few amount of different jobs, like maybe a philosopher might be needed on a movie set or to help with some paperwork somewhere,
or work at the university.
Idea. But that's what happens, is you end up going back and teaching the same topic. So it's like, what was the point of that unless your goal was to become a women's studies professor? Yeah. And most people they're idealistic. They're told, go to college, you'll figure yourself out, take a couple classes, feel yourself out, do electives, and then whatever you like, go for it. And it's like, no, you don't go to trade school and say, maybe I want to be a plumber. No, I'm going here to be a fucking plumber. The same principle needs to be applied to college, and we need to be telling kids this at the same time, is you don't just go to school to go to school. You go there with a purpose, and your purpose needs to be Well, it's not just make money, but you need to see the light at the end of the tunnel. Because make money, like, oh, I'll just get a degree in philosophy and I'll write books.
Yeah, but they don't make any money. They don't do anything.
But you could sell that idea to somebody and be like, oh yeah, I'll just write books and I'll be groundbreaking.
Right, that's selling a scam, though.
To a degree, but if you really applied yourself, you could be a Thomas Hobbes or a John Locke. Who knows? But the point is, like, that's not going to actually make you any money in the short term, and you're just going to end up fucked by that debt that you accrued. But if you went to school because you were in high school or you were 25 and you just had this groundbreaking idea and you were like, I need to learn more about philosophers because this idea I have would revolutionize society. That would be a good reason to go get a degree in philosophy.
Right.
But if you don't have that kind of mentality,
just as a whimsy, I think I'll be a philosopher.
Yeah, if you just took philosophy 101, you're like, this was an interesting class. I'm gonna make my whole degree about it. You're making the wrong move, and don't do that.
Yeah, really.
It's not a right move. You need to go and know what you want to be. Like, I went to school, and I know I want to go in international politics, and I want to assume a position like, say, the Foreign Service, something like that. I want to be on the ground, working hard, and making a real impact. How do I do that? Okay, go get degrees in international studies, learn about the world and how that works, how they interact, and those kinds of things. Learn about the history of different countries and diplomacy. That's important. So I'm kind of gearing myself in the way. Obviously, my degree is really fucking broad, and I'm not making any money now, but I know where I want to go with it. But if you just say, oh, I liked marine biology, and you don't actually see yourself on a boat, like, tagging dolphins for research.
You're scared of the water.
Yeah, like, what are you doing? You just enjoyed yourself in a class. And you're paying a lot, so fucking think about it.
And it's for an idea, mostly.
Yeah.
It's kind of like going and signing up for flying lessons and you really don't want to fly. You're never really going to get your pilot's license. You'll just stick around for the rest of your life and never get it. I mean, there are people that do that. They just, every once in a while, want to go challenge fear. People jump out of planes for skydiving.
Yeah.
It's like, but people are doing the exact same thing with their career. And they're just kind of doing it like, well, we'll see, any way the wind blows and see what happens. It's scary, though. It really is, because you see a lot of people that have actually, I know somebody that has the same degree that you had, and he made me a margarita at the bar one night.
See, exactly.
He was a bartender.
I meet all kinds of
he'd
poli-sci people.
He'd been out of school for more than 2 years.
Yeah.
So
yeah. And it's
he's just never applied himself. So it's not so much what you're studying. It is a lot, but it's how willing and you're committed to it. And if you're not committed, then you're screwed.
It's a purpose.
Yeah.
That's the thing. Is like, if you go to school without a specific purpose, then there's no real drive behind it. There's no real. You're just there whimsically having fun and learning, which isn't bad. Like, I want people to have a thirst for knowledge, but you need to have a purpose for being in a specific school or a trade or getting an education at a university. Like, you need to have a reason that you're there. And when you have that reason, that idea, or that end goal,
it's called passion, my friend.
Yeah, it gives you a fire. And it's not like you're willing to get D's and C's and shit. You're like, nah, fuck that. I'm grinding because this is where I want to go and this is why. And that why is, I think, what most people lack. They have an idea, like, this is what I want to do, this is how, kind of, but, like, why am I doing it? To make money?
I think the most important thing is to be able to take the model of what you're speaking and the type of person that you are and what motivates you and ingrain that into the curriculum that is being taught to students now. That should be one of the main goals.
Yeah, in high school,
like you should contact the secretary of the
Betsy DeVos
to call up Betsy. Come on, you say, hey man, I live in Orlando. I've been to a Magic game.
Let me revolutionize this shit.
Come on, let me give you an idea. You can take all the credit. How does that sound?
Right.
Just mention my stupid webcast.
Just give you one tagline.
One time, just mention it when you're up there saying, we would have never known about this, not from Mr. David Ashby.
Not even my name. Don't tell my name.
Really.
Some hater somewhere. He aligned himself with the boss. Fucking Nazi. What? I'm fighting for education.
I thought she was a basketball team with a bunch of black guys. What is that? How's she racist?
I think I need another beer.
All right.
Let's do it.
I'm on it. Hold on a sec. Back on the one
clink,
side.
clink, back, back.
This is real cold now. Uh-oh. I didn't shake this one.
Oh, you shook it, didn't you?
No, I didn't shake it because last time you spilled a half bottle of wine.
Yeah, I didn't publish that one. You guys won't get to see that.
We'll put that in the edits later at the end.
Mm-hmm.
Never.
The spill cam. I'll have like a
spill
whole
cam.
Oh, see, there's so many good ideas we could have out of this, Dave. I'm so excited. Like, I'm glad you're jumping on board with it. I got my buddy Zach doing the same shit. Like, it's a good idea, and you know, like we were saying earlier, like there's a lot of work involved. But if you really do have something you want to share, and you really feel like you can make an impact, and it's not necessarily have to be revolutionary, but if you just have a few minds that you could change, and you think like this is the right thing to say, then fucking say it. Like, so often people with like free speech, like they get shut down at universities. Ben Shapiro, even like Dave Rubin and people like that, they're just like the most liberal, like not necessarily liberal, but they're middle of the road thinkers, and they take each individual situation and they look at it.
Common sense thinkers.
Exactly. And that, I don't know why that's become such a stigmatized thing. It's like, if you're not, you know, a radical on one end or the other, then you're like a fence hugging asshole. And it's like, no, I'm just a middle of the road thinker. You guys are fucking crazy. And I just don't understand. Like, you go to universities and these people are just trying to express their views, and instead of allowing them to, I saw a video where a girl was just shaking like coins in a jar the whole time he was trying to speak, and he was asking her like, yo, you want to like tell me what your point is? And she just wouldn't say anything. She just was there to make a noise that he couldn't express his opinion. And I think that's dumb. Like, if you have opinions that you think are wrong, then get on the public debate forum and say it. Like, go and debate them, post videos and say something about it.
They
like,
wonder when communism really came. They're worried about the Russians. It's been around for decades that they've been teaching that type of thought, that Maoistic type of communist control thought. And they figure if they can shut you down, being the government, or being the types of people that don't support the government. They don't support any government. They want anarchy. It's funny though that the unarmed people that, you know, the sun like burns them. It's like they don't go outside. They sit home in their basement watching videos and playing video games. It's like they never do anything. And they're the anarchists. They wear the masks over their face, but they won't. You know, if they're so tough, they'd say, hey, this is who I am, and this is what we're gonna do.
That's true.
It's not like we're sitting here wearing masks.
Yeah.
I mean,
no.
we say it out like it is, man. We don't lie. You know, it's like.
But they only mask up because they're causing destruction, and they know what they're doing is illegal. So like, they might not be masked up because they're cowards in the sense that they don't want to get caught for expressing their views. They don't want to get caught
if
for
they were
breaking
doing the right
windows.
thing, then there wouldn't be a problem.
Exactly my point. If you have to mask up, then you're obviously doing something wrong.
Yeah.
If you have to hide, then what are you doing? Like, you're obviously in the wrong end of what you need to be doing. Like, if you're trying to express your point and say like Antifa is, you know, anti-fascists or whatever, but you are being fascist in the sense of shutting down people's right to speak, which makes you a fascist. So the anti-fascists are being fascists to stop what they think are fascists.
I'm wondering if their name might actually be an irony. They might have
It
done
definitely
on purpose,
is.
So it's ironic in a way.
Well, that would be funny. Yeah.
It's like they don't even get it. They don't even get it. It's like some sort of, you know, secret handshake or something. You know, it's like we don't get it.
It's like, yeah, we're Antifa, actually fascists.
With biggest.
Yeah, they pull their Nazi symbols out like, yeah, look at that. It's like, dude,
I
what the
never
fuck?
really could understand them. They're a bunch of skinny little kids swinging bats and they can't even break a window. It's like
Yeah, you saw that video? I wish we had the technology to show you guys. Oh my god, look it up on
that'll
Google.
come in the future.
Yeah, we'll have it soon. Budgets.
Maybe we'll put a hyperlink in.
If you want to sponsor us.
I really want to
Sponsor us.
You watch. It's gonna be the first.
Your
lawsuit.
label could be here. It's gonna be the first
It's
lawsuit.
gonna be your first lawsuit. I got screwed by the guys I drank into business.
Yeah, like free advertisement, still get sued. What is this?
I'm advertising the Daytona 500 or 2050.
Yeah, 2050. Is it Daytona
No,
500
Super
or
Bowl.
Super Bowl? Yeah.
I'm gonna mix it up, dude.
Whatever, might as well.
I don't want anybody to.
I'm not sponsoring nobody.
It's
No,
got
but-
50 on it.
So with this, so with the most recent election, a large argument that people have had a lot is, you know, Hillary won the popular vote, Trump won the electoral vote, and of course every cycle of this conversation comes up that should we get rid of electoral college? And I've always had the stance that yeah, we should, but it's not specifically because of this most recent election. It's just in general as a democratic principle that we should get rid of an electoral college. But I kind of wanted to see what your opinion is on it, because it's like, why? Like, I get back in the day we needed it because most people were very locally minded. We didn't have the internet back then and stuff, so like it was easier to vote for like representatives who actually knew what the fuck was going on in politics, so they could go represent you in the way that would be best. But now most people can find the information they want. If they want to be an educated voter, it takes a couple hours on the internet, and you can find out everything the person you're trying to vote for stuff, and you can
they
say
mail all the information to you where to look it up. It's not hard.
So it's not impossible to become an informed voter. Most people are just uninformed because they choose to be, not because it's not out there.
I can answer your question. It's very easy.
Yeah. So what's the point?
It's real easy. There tends to be like a concentration of people that are like-minded, like California, New York, Texas. There's different types of people, and what would happen is that you would have just a small number of states, maybe 3 or 4, deciding who becomes the next president and who doesn't.
But
the
don't
rest
they do
of the
that
country
already?
wouldn't have any say in it because they're not represented equally because they don't live in that area.
But isn't that the way it is already? Like you have Florida, Ohio, and then what's the other one? Like there's a swing state. But every election comes down to
now they're all swing states.
Well, yeah, now it's the whole political system's up in the air. But as far as like with electoral college, it kind of goes to my point, like right to your point is like why, like if we did, I see your point because California has a huge population, so if it was based on like-minded areas, like California would mostly vote. But if you didn't do like a winner-take-all system, it wouldn't matter because the couple rural people in California, see under the electoral college, you have the winner-take-all system in most states. So basically, if you have the majority, or
you get
the majority,
that vote.
you get the whole state,
right?
And that disincentivizes so many people. If you're a conservative in California, there's no point in you voting because you know at the end of the election it's going to be a blue state. So what's the fucking point?
We'll see.
And well, yeah, obviously, but like historically speaking, like a lot of states have been the same.
In the next couple of months, we'll see.
But it's like, what's the point if you know that if you live in Texas, say it's going to always be a red state every election over and over again. So if you're a Democrat, you wouldn't vote. What's the point? So it makes people not want to vote by having an electoral college. But if you had a direct election through popular vote, like the farmer in Texas or Minnesota or Virginia is going to have the same vote as the city slicker in New York or California. And the argument like you were saying is it kind of goes against what you were saying because it's like it would give everybody an equal vote across the board.
But not everybody lives in the same areas. So you want the city slickers in Washington D.C., New York, Massachusetts, Rhode Island, all the states in the Northeast telling Texas, New Mexico, Arizona, California how they handle their border?
Well,
is that how you want that? I mean, think about it. How would you feel about those people saying how you handle people that show up on your shores?
But
they don't have shores.
If that's the majority, then that's the majority. If the majority of Americans,
what about the rest of the country? What about other people that live there?
But if we're working on a democratic system and the principle is that we take a vote and whatever the most people vote for, then we go with, then
that doesn't represent the interest of everyone.
When did we ever worry about that?
Because when did we ever worry about that? We do now. We should. And we always have. That's why the Electoral College was created, so that people that live in Montana get a vote, because there's very few people that live in Montana.
But they only get, 3 votes?
But if all the people there voted, then they wouldn't have any real say. Because there's so few people compared to the rest of the country, you know what I mean?
But then that doesn't go against democratic. So what you're saying is it kind of gives them an edge. It gives them more power to their vote.
A little bit.
So, but that's undemocratic in its principle in general.
Not really.
Yeah, and if you do the math, okay, so I forget how many electoral votes Florida gets. I think last time it was 29 or something.
Yes.
But if you took the population and you divided it by 29, you'd get a percentage, like how much my individual vote was worth of electoral votes, and you would get some really small decimal, but every time somebody voted, that would be what they're essentially sending to Washington, that tiny little percent. But if you go and look at Wisconsin or something like that, which gets I think 3 votes, and you look over their population, it is significantly higher. Because if they had 2 people in Wisconsin, the whole state had 2 people, they'd still get 3 votes because that's the minimum.
Yeah, but that's not reality then.
No, but even if it's okay, but if you look at the population,
do you think Florida, we live
million,
here, do you think we should control, if we had most people living here, because we have tons of tourism and a lot of immigration from Florida, especially with the hurricane from Irma, so now we've got a bunch of Puerto Rican people moving here. I mean,
well, Democrats are moving on that one right now, for sure.
But I mean, there's been a mass migration, and what if we were to suddenly become the more populous state? And it's possible. Should we have the control over the rest of the people?
But we wouldn't.
We shouldn't.
We wouldn't. So
we would if we were the majority.
But if Florida, say, had 1/5 of the U.S.'s population, so say we had what, like 80 million people. Sorry.
We do. We're one of the top.
We're definitely up in there. That's why our electoral votes are so high.
5 largest.
But if we were number 1, let's say, like, if we have 20%, let's say, of the whole U.S. population, then we should have 20% of the say. That makes sense. Like, I mean, it's unfair to the small rural state, but you don't have fucking anybody. That's the point.
And they would never have a vote. Nothing would ever happen for them.
But they do, because anybody who lives in that state would have an equal vote. So if you're a Democrat in rural country, Wisconsin or something like that, you would have the same equal vote as the guy who's a Republican next door to you, versus not really caring anyways, because if you go vote, everybody's voting Republican around you, so it doesn't matter.
I don't think it really matters, because you know what? It doesn't seem like it's going to change, because that's how it's been since day one.
Well, that's
and
why
they did it to protect people, I guess, in places like Florida at the time, because we were a swamp state, you know what I mean, compared to the rest of the country, the rest of our small country.
Well, I think it's mostly about the farming states.
Yeah, we're a farming state too, and we have cattle and Georgia and everything, it's very agricultural. And I think it was set up originally to protect those states, and now it's grown to where I think it's a convoluted system, and I think that, in the end it should be to where it's just a popular vote. But for now, I mean, it would take literally an act of Congress to change it.
So you think we should have a popular vote?
In a way, I do.
Where do you stand on it? Yeah,
It depends on how the education system is. If we're training people to vote a certain way, then no.
No, yeah, I agree with that.
Because then I think that we should stick state by state, that the people that are growing things should have a say, instead of the people that are just going to Adobe College and going to get a degree and everything, and they're going to vote to maintain that status quo. It's going to push the people that are manufacturing and agriculture. It's going to push them out.
Yeah, because they'll have literally,
they'll have nothing.
Yeah.
They won't be able to make any money.
But, even now today, their vote is kind of, no one cares anyways. Because even if you watch
that didn't happen in the last election. Donald Trump cared about all those people, and guess what? He went and got Iowa and all those places that nobody cared about.
It was smart campaigning on his own.
Everybody, and you know what though? He was
strategic.
He stuck by. I went to strategic though. He's been back to all those places. I've seen him doing rallies, and the same amount of people go still.
What, his victory rally he was doing?
He's been doing regular rallies now, just for helping people that are going to become congressmen and stuff that are going to be.
Campaigning early.
Yeah, he's campaigning for the 2018 election, and he's helping these people, and he's going around all the places where he already has been to. And I've seen some of his rallies, and he's stating the facts of what he said he was going to do. He said he was going to do it, and he went and actually did it. And then he's going back and telling the people, I did what you sent me to do. Right? Did more than you sent me to do.
No, yeah.
And
as far as most of his promises, he's been sticking to it.
I've never seen anybody do that before.
It's so funny, though, because if you watch, former... well, I wouldn't say former, but news pundits during the election and stuff, they're all just thinking yeah, he's joking. I saw one guy who's Republicans understand that the wall is more like a metaphor or something like that. He didn't say this word for word, but essentially he was saying it's a metaphor for increased border security and things like that, rather than a physical wall. And it's just no. He meant a fucking wall.
He's a builder.
He meant a wall, literally cement blocks, barbed wire, a wall, not increased border security. I forget who it was. I think it was Trevor Noah. He made a joke about it, just oh yeah, we all equally understand that it's a
Trevor
metaphor.
Noah's from South Africa.
No. It was John Oliver. Yeah, it was a collective metaphor we all understand for increased border security versus a physical wall. And I was no.
You gotta edit out that part because you don't want to get anything wrong.
Huh? No, I fuck it. Just run with it.
Yep, second person is gonna sue you.
Sue me, bitch.
They're gonna look back and go, "Who is that guy?"
Yeah,
And
fucking white guy.
what
What is he doing?
I think they said, "Oh wait, we're gonna get him privilege."
Yeah, isn't he?
Hopefully,
He's privileged.
by the time you discover it, it won't matter anymore. This whole privilege thing will be gone.
No, hopefully by that time I will be privileged and I won't have anything to say about it anymore.
Yeah, really.
Yeah.
That would be nice.
Because once I have a lot of money, then I'll be like, you know what? Yeah, you're right. I'm personally privileged, but like, not right now. I'm not. They're gonna take that. He said he's personally privileged, and they quote that part of the video.
Privileged.
God, the internet's terrible.
I know.
I love the internet.
That's
though.
why I love it too.
Yeah, that's dope. No, we're not done though. We gotta keep
Then
talking.
the Google God will come down and talk to us next. At least it hasn't rebooted your system yet, has it?
Mm-mm. No, we've actually ran this whole one perfect. Like, as long as these cameras are doing well, this is gonna be the first no fuck up recording. Knock on wood somewhere.
Bam! There goes
Yeah,
there
everything
goes your
dies. Oh god, it's been a bitch, dude.
Well, I'm glad. I'm definitely glad that we got to sit down one more time.
Yeah.
About this.
No, yeah.
We're gonna have to go hit Flyers Wings. Yes, Flyers Wings in Pine Hills. Awesome place.
Dude, lit wings, so good.
Seriously, Flyers.
Yeah.
Hands up.
Sponsorships.
Yeah, right. And we'll come down and we'll do a remote
They don't-
there. We'll just bring a fake camera.
Just a clarification, we're not sponsored by anybody.
Yeah, we're not sponsored.
Just looking for some sponsors because tired of using lamps that I stole from the garbage as lighting. It's a bitch, dude. It's a lot of work.
I'm gonna go and eat something tonight and buy that.
Yeah, eat something.
Eat something and buy that. Don't want to say their name because I don't want to be responsible.
I don't think most people will sue you for like just talking about their brands. As long as you're not just like, fuck Amazon.
Nah.
Here we go. There's another
I'm not
person.
I'm not gonna say anything bad about anybody because for the most part I've had good luck with.
Yeah,
most of the companies
exactly.
I've dealt with.
Exactly.
If I have a problem, like when I got sent the cable, it's probably a miscommunication in language.
I do wonder though how we could get some sponsors with this because like, not necessarily sponsors, just I guess enough people so I don't want to be subservient to anybody, and that's something I kind of want to like touch on before we finish this. Is like this podcast, I want to keep it free of like those impositions from businesses and things. I don't want anybody coming in and saying you can't talk about this or that because it's gonna like hurt their business model or something. Like, no, this is supposed to be an open forum and people need to be able to express their opinions so we can have an open, honest discussion about these problems or societal issues or even just comedic, comical shit. Like, it doesn't matter. People are like unique and we need to capture that.
We'll have my wife on for some belching contest.
Oh, we could. My sister too. Oh God. Turn the gain all the way down. It'll still spike out the ass. Turn the microphone off. Just blah.
You're gonna have to use a My Pillow as a crackle filter. Oh, they're not sponsoring this either.
Yeah. Right.
I'm sorry, Mike Nadell. He's gonna be calling me next. That'd be
What
nice.
is this?
I sleep on one every night, so
Dope.
so does
Yeah,
my
right.
wife.
The sleep number bed. What?
No, I don't have that.
I think Ben Shapiro is actually sponsored by like one of those bed things he always talks about, like at the beginning of. See, that's another thing. I don't want a model like that.
I want
Like
Star Wars to sponsor me.
that'd be fucking lit.
That'd be
Disney.
great.
No, actually, Disney would be fucking terrible.
Yeah, Disney. Would be
Don't
terrible.
sue us.
Just please on that.
I can't afford that one.
I don't even think I can afford to go to court just to respond.
No.
Literally, like there are 27 lawyers standing there, angry-eyed at you.
Yeah. You said something about
as
Disney.
they usher the judge in.
It's fucking Mickey. He's been paid off. You're like, what is this shit? The judge is obviously on their team. What is this? No, but like,
Really?
I'm excited.
If the
though.
glove doesn't fit.
He takes it off and it's like stuff. I didn't realize that was his hand. Oh god. Have you seen some of that shit though? There's like cartoons where people like taking off parts. Like I've seen one with like Donald Duck and he takes off his bill. And it's just like an addition. It's just a mouth. And it's like, that is the weirdest shit.
Spins around his head. He gets shot. Makes me want to go home and watch Looney Tunes. Sometimes on Saturday mornings I will do that.
Looney
I got
Tunes?
my whole Looney Tunes collection that my sister gave me for Christmas one year. Take that out, pop it in a Saturday morning.
Dope.
Make some bacon and eggs and sausage and toast.
Oh, bacon.
Just like yesterday.
I heard that bacon would give you cancer now. And I kind of just don't care. Is that bad?
I don't know.
Like, I know I'm young, so that's not like a good
Wait, what
decision.
time is it anyway?
10. Is that too
I
late?
hope my wife remembered to turn off my food dehydrator at 9:30. I made teriyaki chicken.
Oh, you're making the beef jerky.
I made
right?
teriyaki chicken jerky.
You gotta talk about that.
We're gonna
Teriyaki
go
jerky.
and try that. I'm gonna go and try that.
Oh yeah, that sounds good.
I'll save some for you.
Dope.
I'm gonna go and pasteurize it real quick.
So how do you make all that exactly?
I have a food dehydrator that I bought from a company called Revco, and they don't sponsor us.
They don't sponsor us.
But it's really cool because it's like a cylinder, and I bought it's like a caulk gun. You fill it up with the ground meat after you cure it. You put the salt cure on it. And
Wait, you grind it?
I use ground beef.
Ground beef. Okay.
Last time I used grass-fed ground beef. I've used turkey.
Could you use bison?
I'm gonna try that next.
I've
tried turkey. Turkey came out really good. I made it real spicy. I made it really, really crispy and spicy. And I used the food dehydrator. And the gun hole, it's like a caulk gun. You put the meat inside of it, and you put a filter on the end of it, that, like the big gun that holds a whole pound of meat. It has 2 slits cut in the end of it, so it's like extruded. So when it comes out, the chicken looked cool because it was like nice and smooth, square.
Yeah.
I just use a knife, and I cut the end of it off after 1 click. I cut it off, and then I
So
do it around in
meat cock
circles. it's literally a meat gun.
Dope.
It's a meat cock gun.
Dope.
And it works perfect. They sell you the one that comes with it. It's like it's a little half-pound one. You gotta load it again.
Mm-hmm.
It's kind of a pain in the ass. But they sell extra trays for it, so you can make it even higher. I think you can make it like 7 trays high, and it runs just on a little motor. It dries. It takes about 4 hours, and then I put it in the oven afterwards, and I cook it at 160 for an hour to just kill any bacteria.
Mm-hmm.
And next time I listen, to be a food dehydrator, but I mean a food vacuum sealer. But I don't need one because everybody eats it up so fast.
Yeah.
I wouldn't even have time to put it in the package. It's gone like the next day. Because tomorrow night after work, and I'm sure everybody's gonna be like, "Hey,
yeah."
I've been bringing it in every week, and I have had 0 complaints, and people telling me I should sell it. That's how good it comes out.
Hey,
so it's good. And it was only like
you want to sponsor the podcast?
$25.
Your beef jerky business was like, oh, just fucking with you.
No, I don't know about that. It takes a lot of work.
Yeah, but imagine if it did.
It comes out good, and it's a lot of the stuff that they gave me is what I used.
It's probably better than
adding my own things. I'm gonna make my own mixture for my own seasoning next time. I think it'll be good.
I think it's
gonna be good.
Yeah,
I had that for dinner one night last week.
Just beef jerky.
Beef jerky and crackers.
Nice. All American.
Little teeny tiny house crackers my wife got for her soup.
Oh, like the oyster crackers or whatever.
But they're shaped like townhouse crackers. They're so tiny. I'm like, you got those little tiny little square crackers for real? I'm like, I didn't think they sold them.
That's awesome.
Because she's tiny, so she has to buy little tiny things. I took a picture of her that I showed you earlier today. We're sitting in a little toddler chair from like kindergarten, and it like didn't really look right. Real funny.
So
that wasn't wrong. It's like you look like you belong in that chair.
So dumb.
Kid.
Hell yeah. I love it.
Well, hey, I got bad news for you.
You're leaving. Yeah. I guess we don't have to end it. We could. We're about an hour and 10 in. So if you want to keep it going, we can.
No, I'm good.
Yeah. All right. Cool. I appreciate you coming through.
Thank you very much.
Yeah. I love you, man.
I gotta pee. I can't.
Yeah. Dope shit.
At least I didn't spill anything.
Thank you for watching.
Thank you very much.
Bye.